I am Kelsey Johnson from Smith.ai. Smith.ai is a virtual receptionist service for phone calls, website chat, Facebook, and text message answering as well. Today I'm presenting with Cara Pryor from James Publishing. She's going to introduce herself and James Publishing, as well as James Marketing Amplifier. In just a moment, I'm going to pass it over to her. Just for your expectations, we're each going to present for about 20 or 25 minutes, and then we'll take questions at the end. But feel free to add questions as you go along, and we'll try to field them if possible in the moment, or I could potentially answer some questions in the background. So just pop those in the Q&A or in the chat as we're going. And so now I'm going to pass it over to Cara.
Hi, Kelsey. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure. So as Kelsey said, I'm Cara Pryor. I'm the president of James Publishing, also the co-founder of our Marketing Amplifier system, which is essentially a campaign automation program. And these days, I really do spend most of my time strategizing with attorneys on how to increase their marketing ROI, right? We're always talking about how to kind of maximize the return you're seeing on that ever so precious marketing investment. So as a legal book publisher, James Publishing, we've been publishing legal guides for nearly 40 years. So content really is what we hang our hat on here. We have a team of in-house attorney editors that crafts all of our content. And it's certainly the foundation of our Marketing Amplifier program. So, and it's certainly true that we really believe that great marketing does start with the highest quality content. So today we're going to cover sort of multiple ways you can really assemble and specifically incorporate engaging content to certainly generate more qualified prospects. We'll talk about how to use content to actually sign more qualified prospects, and certainly increase your referral flow from past clients as well as from professional sources. So I'll show you tons of examples, including emails. We'll show you some social posts, funnels, landing pages, books, booklets, infographics, even some videos, all that you can really adapt to use in your own practice. So tons of examples. Let me go ahead and share my screen and get, Kelsey, it looks like I'm going to need screen sharing capabilities. There we go. Thank you. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it. It looks great.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of dive right in. Creating engaging content that converts the best clients. I'm really excited to share this with you guys today. So step number one, selecting topics, right? So we talk about solving problems or answering questions. So the most important step really in all content creation efforts is that first step, that topic selection. The right topic, I always say the right topic kind of poorly addressed will always outpull and outperform the wrong topic when well written. So it's not about length, it's not about format or even kind of the type of content that determines the success. It's really how much you help, right? How much value you're delivering to your prospective clients, your new clients, and even to your past clients with content. So, but I often hear all the time from attorneys, I don't know what to write about. I don't know what to talk about in a video. So, you know, if the problem's a big one and you tell people kind of specifically how to address it, your content will certainly resonate with their interest, and kind of working with you will certainly increase. So we recommend writing multiple titles, maybe with just short descriptions. It's a great way to kind of brainstorm those topics. You know better than anyone the kind of frequently asked questions you get from prospects, right? And I mean, you hear it all the time. It's just a matter of kind of documenting that and then kind of taking those questions, taking those topics one by one, and creating content around those answers, around those responses. So, you know, I always say if you're really stuck, you could always survey, you know, a small group of your, even of your prospects, but probably more so of your past clients to see what topics would resonate. But really just taking the time to sit down and kind of list out some potential topics, things that you're hearing all the time, that's a great way to start. But I want to get specific. So I want to give you some examples when we're talking about kind of high interest topics. So keep in mind, the best topics really cover common ground between a major problem the prospect is facing and then the solution that you provide, right? So, Kelsey, can you hear me okay? Just
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my video just disappeared. Am I still there? Everything okay?
I can see you and I can hear you and I can see your screen as well. So I think you're doing okay.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Okay, so it's really that intersection between solving that problem and addressing it specifically with your prospects. So a good topic certainly engages readers who've not yet retained counsel, right? Who've not yet hired an attorney, but they have a problem that really warrants legal assistance. So that's the gap that you're really trying to fill. Think about when you're thinking about these topics, think about mistakes to avoid when blank. That's a sure winner, right? Mistakes to avoid when so-and-so occurs. People deciding whether to hire an attorney or perhaps even try to kind of handle their legal issue themselves. They're regularly wondering whether they're going to make a bonehead move, right? They're going to make a mistake or get taken advantage of if they proceed without legal representation. So here on the slide, I actually list some potential kind of high interest topics in a variety of specialties that certainly solve problems. So let me run through these quickly so you get a better idea of the topics that I'm talking about. So bankruptcy, we could talk about mistakes to avoid when you have major money problems. Business litigation, perhaps a lawyer evaluates your breach of contract dispute. Criminal defense, the common mistakes made by criminal defendants, right? Solves problems. Estate planning, a guide to putting your affairs in order. Family law, an example is how to tell your spouse and your children you're getting a divorce. Personal injury, how adjusters reduce your settlement. And then Social Security disability, common mistakes made by unrepresented claimants. So when writing up your topics, don't hold back. The kind of prospects you want as clients are not do-it-yourselfers, but at the same time, you're sort of writing for the do-it-yourselfers, meaning that your approach really kind of demonstrates your expertise to those who want to really hand off their problem to you. I'm all about showing examples, right? Because I want you to be able to kind of take this information and use it right away. So I want to share a few more. So notice that these samples, the titles really address kind of major concerns, right? So answering a question with kind of a low worry factor, it won't generate as much interest as responding to a major concern. So here's some additional kind of high interest topic examples. Bankruptcy, how will filing bankruptcy affect my credit? Business litigation, are there low cost ways to resolve my business dispute? Criminal defense, what happens now that your loved one has been arrested? Estate planning, what legal challenges can someone make to your estate plan? Family law, is your spouse hiding assets in preparation for a divorce? How to tell? Personal injury, how do I determine if the insurer's settlement offer is fair? And then Social Security disability, denied disability benefits, should you appeal? Again, target the prospect who has a sizable issue, but not one that is, yet retained counsel, right? So answer the question in detail. The more information you provide, certainly the more sort of expert you appear, or the more you're sort of really establishing your authority. And don't worry about the prospect not reading everything. So write for kind of the skim reader is what I say. So providing, kind of frequent headings, samples, graphics, or even kind of begin sections with recaps, ending them with recaps, and kind of summarizing with key points. That makes it easy for your prospects to skim the material if they'd like, or certainly gives them the full information if they are interested in diving in a little bit deeper. But if you're creating marketing content for the very first time, we really do recommend that you begin by answering one or more questions, right? So you've had plenty of practice doing that. The answers should kind of flow readily. Again, you're talking to your prospects and your clients all the time. You kind of know, where their concerns lie. This is just a quick look at some of the booklets that we've created for our clients to use that cover some of those high interest topics we just discussed. So, you could certainly create full-blown kind of booklets like this as well around your topics, but you really don't have to create anything fancy, right? So don't let that kind of stop you and hold you back. Getting content out there is kind of the most important thing. Okay, so moving right along to kind of step 2, choosing format. So when you talk about content creation, what type of content, what type of lead magnet, what pulls best, what performs best. So I like to say begin in your comfort zone. So since the biggest kind of content creation hurdle that I see that many lawyers really kind of run into is just getting started, right? So we recommend you start with what you know, what you do best, again, what you're kind of most comfortable with. So think about it. Do you prefer speaking or do you prefer writing? So let that answer kind of guide your choice of initial format. So, most people will kind of naturally gravitate toward one form of communication or the other. So pick yours and begin. So if you talk about writing, perhaps a booklet, even a short checklist. If you have more time, maybe a more comprehensive FAQ, frequently asked question book. If you're talking about, if you're more comfortable just speaking, videos obviously are great. So it's basically choosing between a booklet or a video should be what you choose initially, since those are kind of the most efficient to create and really kind of have the broadest appeal. But I will say you should sort of ultimately use both formats for each topic you create, but start with what comes easiest, start somewhere and don't let the thought of the workload kind of overwhelm you, because it doesn't need to be something that takes you a whole lot of time to create. Don't overthink it. Don't set kind of too high a bar for your initial efforts. And repetition, whether it's, creating these written materials or producing these videos, repetition will really improve your end product. So the more you do it, the better you'll get, right? Whichever format you choose, so writing or speaking, as though you were kind of, just make sure that you're really kind of communicating to one person who's sort of a quick study, but perhaps only has a high school education. So in other words, when I say that, I mean, don't use too much legal jargon. Don't overcomplicate your message. Keep it simple, keep it direct, and really focus on kind of conveying your caring, showcasing your expertise, that kind of thing. Okay, I wanted to share just really quick 2 helpful tools for creating booklets and videos. If you don't have access or want to pay for a professional design, that's okay. A really great tool, Attract.io. It's a wonderful way to kind of efficiently obtain professional look for your booklet at no charge. We're not affiliated with them in any way. It's just a great tool that we use. Wanted to share that. Again, it's a free tool. The platform actually provides a link too, so that you don't need to upload the booklet to your website or landing page if you don't want to. You certainly can, but makes it really, really easy to share. So if you're looking to create your own booklet, I would definitely check out the free Attract.io tool. And then similarly for video, another great tool that we like to recommend is Video Ask, videoask.com. Makes it super easy to shoot with your phone. Certainly you could just use your webcam, and you can embed those videos directly on your website. And actually you can respond directly to prospects within the Video Ask platform, which is pretty cool. Prospects can respond to you via video, audio, or text. They can actually book an appointment right there. So, you can use it just for kind of the video piece that makes it really easy, or, actually a little bit of promotion too. There is a free version, but then it is a low cost. But again, if you're looking to produce videos, I would recommend checking out Video Ask. It'll just make things a lot easier. Okay, so kind of step 3, begin with lead magnets. We really recommend what we call gated lead magnets over, other content choices, at least initially. So what do I mean by a gated lead magnet? So lead magnets, they're really kind of the standard approach in online marketing. offer something of value in exchange for contact information. For those visitors who come to your site who may not be quite ready to book a consult or quite ready to pick up the phone and give you a call. Most B2B websites offer some type of lead magnet with great success. But, we've certainly found that law firms have been very slow to embrace this proven technique, which means opportunity for you, right? You can still stand out with an attractive, engaging lead magnet. And for concrete results, that's why we prefer the gated lead magnet to the blog post. Of course, blog posts have wonderful SEO value. That's an entirely different topic. But when we're talking about, kind of prioritizing your content creation, if you have a gated lead magnet, in other words, if you're asking visitors for contact information in exchange for a booklet, a video, a checklist, a quiz, in exchange for valuable content, then you're certainly able to very easily tie not only ROI, but tie direct results back to that lead magnet, meaning those visitors, who again might not be ready to give you a call, but visit your site, maybe looking to gather more information, looking to get some of their questions answered. Without a gated lead magnet, they would otherwise sort of just leave without a trace, right? We would never even know that they were there. However, if you're offering this lead magnet in exchange for their contact information, they're immediately delivered a high quality branded educational material, piece of material, booklet, or whatever you decide. And then you're collecting their contact info. So that means, you can certainly keep in touch with them until they are ready to hire, right? Keep in touch with them, stay top of mind with educational content, continue to kind of nurture and drip out that valuable content. And in the end, you're just providing value, and you're certainly going to stand out from the other attorneys who they may be potentially taking meetings with. Probably aren't hearing anything from those folks, and you're the one that has been conveying your caring, answering their questions, and establishing yourself as the authority. So I want to say, actually, I'll stick with this slide for just a moment. So in addition to contact info, there are some ways that you can just quickly qualify these prospects as well, right? We're talking about, we want to be delivering the best, the highest quality prospects. You don't want just anyone to kind of get through, and then your screening person or perhaps, you personally are spinning your wheels or really just kind of wasting time on folks that you might not be able to help. So in addition to basic contact information, you could also ask some simple, really easy to answer multiple choice questions, maybe about the size and the urgency of their legal issue. So you know kind of which leads to pursue more aggressively, kind of where to apply urgency with the follow-up, and really prioritize the follow-up. So whether, that follow-up is with more content, or with direct contact. So when we talk about, sometimes it's not simple to understand the size of the legal issue, right? So for some of our bankruptcy clients, we'll ask, what assets are involved? For business litigation, you could ask, how much is at stake? Anything that kind of gives you a little bit of insight. Criminal defense, what type of crime was the arrest for? Divorce, what's the size of the marital estate? What type of assets are in it? Estate planning, what is the total value of the estate? Personal injury, was the victim hospitalized for how long? So, that simple question, and you probably, you know best what will, your ideal client, right? So you know best what question to ask, but that will really, really help you with the follow-up, and certainly, will help to screen out some of those folks that you just really can't help. This is just a really quick example of what we provide on this front. So this is what we call an exit intent pop-up that's offering the gated lead magnet that I just mentioned. So as a visitor goes to leave your site, as they go to exit out of your site, at the last moment, this pop-up appears, offering them the educational content in exchange for contact information, asking about how immediate their legal need is. After that, they're served up a thank you page. This is a great place to include a link to your calendar or, or otherwise provide some additional information. Okay, so as I kind of alluded to earlier, part 4, a combination approach really works best, meaning ideally you'll kind of combine writing and speaking. I understand this is not the first step, but just kind of keep in mind that, to really maximize your results, we found that combining, really kind of your most effective lead magnet offers will include a booklet, some sort of PDF with a video of some sort. So, there's no doubt a video will increase response. It certainly introduces you, generates more calls than a written lead magnet alone, really starts to kind of establish that trust. Yes, it's more work to create both items. I certainly understand that. But again, we encourage you to start with just one. Okay, so moving right along. The most effective promotion technique. Okay, so remember, creating this content, creating these lead magnets, that's kind of only half the challenge. Now, what do you do with it? How do you promote it? The single most effective kind of lead magnet promotion technique happens to be free, and it is very, very infrequently used by lawyers. That's an understatement. So there's a big opportunity there, and you should really be kind of taking this approach. So team up with a non-lawyer who serves the same clientele. You could jointly host a webinar like Kelsey and I are doing now. You could exchange e-blasts. So e-blast an offer of your lead magnet to your partner's email list, then turn around and do the same for him or her, right? It's about this kind of mutually beneficial partnership. So identifying those potential referral sources, folks who would commonly come across the type of client that you're looking for, or would have those folks, on their list, would be the best place to start. So, we've had really great success. This webinar is a perfect example of that kind of cross promoting, providing value, and really kind of creating that mutually beneficial partnership. Okay, so before we wrap up, I did want to mention newsletters. So it's hard to talk about, all of this high quality content for your prospects and your new clients without also mentioning the importance of keeping top of mind with your past clients. Newsletters, they're a little bit old school, but they are a proven way to stay top of mind and a proven way to really boost your referrals from past clients. And too many lawyers kind of fail to stay in touch with their past clients, right? So following that easy path it's a surefire way for your past clients to forget about you, and certainly will reduce the number of referrals you receive. A monthly newsletter is what we recommend. A monthly newsletter is included in our Marketing Amplifier program. I 100% recognize that is a bit of a time commitment, right? Monthly there is a bit of a commitment associated with that frequency, certainly. If you can't commit to monthly, try quarterly. Whatever you decide, whatever frequency you decide, try to stick to that, though. That's kind of the most important part. Stick to that frequency and provide a nice kind of balance of content. More than likely, the folks, your past clients, are past their legal issues, right? So we don't want their eyes to glaze over reading about 100%, law-focused content. General interest pieces, seasonal articles, healthy living tips, recipes are really popular. If you have a recent case win you want to talk about, something particularly interesting happening in your personal lives of one of your staff members, really incorporating that kind of thing goes a long way. Whole point of the newsletters, we want people to actually read it, right? And spend a little bit of time with it each month or however often you're producing it. So, not only if they ever need your services again, certainly you're top of mind, but if they have friends or family who are going through a situation where your legal assistance could be valuable, certainly that's kind of the idea. Show you some quick samples of our newsletter. Again, it doesn't need to be anything fancy. Sending a digital and e-newsletter, emailing a newsletter is a very low cost way, assuming that you have been building an email list. That's a great delivery method. On that same note, however, I think all of our email inboxes are exploding a bit right now. So if you do have the budget to print and postal email a newsletter, that certainly goes a long way. So just, kind of address your level, like how much time you have, right? And kind of your budget, how much do you want to spend? But either way, really try and kind of incorporate that newsletter into your kind of ongoing marketing. So just really quick before I pass the baton back to Kelsey, I'm happy to help. Feel free to contact me. I love talking about this stuff. I love talking about marketing. I talk to dozens of attorneys every week. So feel free, you'll see my direct number on there as well as my email address on the slide. I'd love to provide some tailored advice. I can certainly also tell you more about our marketing amplifier system as well, which includes all of the items that I kind of showed you how to do today. So I will pass it on. Yeah.
All right. Well, don't take your screen down yet, because we did have one question that I want to go over, but I also wanted to anecdotally mention that I get a mailer every month from a real estate agent just telling me what's going on I live in Denver, in the Denver Boulder area. And at Halloween, it was like the pumpkin patches to go to. And now, recently it was like the Christmas stuff that's going on, which is not even that much, because obviously, there's huge restrictions, but we don't ever get rid of it. And so that kind of like really interesting content, even though it's a mailer and most mailers just go straight in the recycling, is definitely very interesting for us.
Yeah, that's a great example.
All right, we got a question from Jamie that I'm going to have you field right now, since it's for you. Do you have a preferred platform for e-news blasts that may or may not integrate with other recommendations?
Okay, so for sending e-newsletters, probably the simplest platform is MailChimp. They also have an open API, meaning that it seamlessly integrates with maybe your practice management system. But lots of folks also just use their CRM, right? So depending on kind of what other tech or what, the other software that you're using, you just want to make sure that everything kind of plays nicely together. MailChimp is really, it's cheap, it's very kind of widely used, but there are so many options. So I can actually send Kelsey some kind of my tech recommendations after this, and we can share that with you guys. There are the key function that you want from your platform is to be able to set up drip sequences, right? Automatic campaigns that go out without you having to manually, do much. So, because it would never be sustainable for you to sit there and try and kind of manually send out all of the, these campaigns and these drip sequences. Marketing Amplifier also does all this for you, but there are a lot of good options out there.
Yeah, MailChimp is a good, affordable option for small businesses. It is a little bit of a learning curve, even for such a small platform. So my recommendation as a marketer is to just try to create one newsletter template and just copy and paste every month with the new content in there. Okay, so I'm going to take over now. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. So much good information. And just as a reminder, we are recording this webinar, and I'll be sending out a email in the next day or so with a lot of these resources, and then a video of the webinar itself as well. All right, well, I'm going to share my screen now. Kara talked a lot about how to sort of educate and bring in clients from the very beginning, that sort of marketing side of it. And I'm going to talk about just that next step of both, capturing these new leads and setting expectations for leads before you even take them on as clients. And then maintaining good communication with your clients throughout the process without, sort of having this huge laborious system set up where you feel like the only thing that you're doing is communicating with clients, and you are never getting to actually do any of the real work that you need to get done, right? Can you see my screen here, Kara? Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm not sure, but maybe present. Really quickly, I'm Kelsey Johnson. I'm the product marketing manager at Smith.ai. And I'm also a small business consultant. I've worked with a lot of small businesses and mostly in the legal industry, just talking about marketing, tech-enabled operations, setting up automations and drip campaigns like Cara was talking about, and obviously that communication side as well. Smith.ai is a virtual receptionist service. It can answer your phone calls, text messages, your website chat live. We also have an AI chat bot that you can do on an automated basis, and we can answer Facebook messages as well. And we are constantly adding new services, so check in another month or so. Okay, so really quickly, according to the 2019 Clio Legal Trends Report, I always go back to this just because it just drives in this data of where you are at as lawyers and what you're dealing with. So consumers, the people who are looking to bring you on, 82% of them agree that timeliness is important to them, right? A quick response, you getting back to an email quickly, you answering a phone call or getting back if they left a message quickly. 82% of the people looking to hire you initially think that this is not just important to them, but the most important thing to them. And 42% of consumers say that if they, reach you as a lawyer and they like you, then they'll hire you on without doing a bunch more research of your competitors, which I think makes sense. Having a legal issue is already, such a sort of pain point that once you found somebody that you think can address it, you really want to just stick with that person. 79% of consumers expect a response within 24 hours of them reaching out. Now, it was more like 12% expected it within an hour. This is broken down a little bit. So it's not that 79% say within 24 hours. It's, once you put together all of the different groups of people, we're looking for a response really, really quickly within 24 hours. But faster if at all possible. And then 68% of these new leads, these consumers, are reaching out by phone. And yet, the average attorney spends 2.5 hours on billable work per day. Now, this is 2018 Clio Legal Trends Report, but I do not think that this has changed too much. And, a lot of this comes down to those interruptions, not just, taking these phone calls from new potential leads where you sort of have to because you're looking to generate new business, but also getting back to work after the interruption, among other things, a lot of different admin tasks, a lot of different things like, creating your own marketing and things that you could be using sort of technology and outsourcing solutions to solve. And so big picture, what we're looking for is we basically want to maximize this responsiveness and the communication with your clients and with your new leads, right? You want to be able to communicate effectively with the people that you are working for. But it is absolutely unreasonable for you to always be available to them. That is not productive. That's not the way that you can grow your business. And those interruptions are really what's drowning, so many lawyers in work. And so what we're looking for is the right solutions, the right technology and outsourcing in order to sort of get these two things, together and make them work here. It's also an ethical consideration, right? This is the ABA model rules for professional conduct, but all of the states have a similar law here or ethical rule here where basically it is your ethical job to make sure that you are keeping your clients reasonably in line and informed about what's going on with their case. That is literally an ethical rule. And so I'm going to go over a little bit, certain technology and outsourcing solutions to set expectations for your client communications, provide intelligent responses to leads the moment they're ready to convert, right? Being there, being in the place where they are, and also providing value to them the moment that they're ready to convert, right? Having the right answer and being able to bring that person on. and updating clients regularly throughout the case. Now, I will mention really quickly that technology and outsourcing solutions are only as good as the process that you add them to. So this is essentially a process issue first, a process that you need to create first. And then you can bring on these sort of this tech to reinforce it and to help you out with it. And so like you just can't get the technology, get the solutions and expect them to fix all of your problems for you. So really quickly, this is obviously like a broad range, a broad lens, but basically the practical steps to get started is to create the process first. Create your process internally in your business for how to communicate with clients. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more in detail, obviously, that's reasonable for you, that's something that you can actually handle, that allows for you to get work done as well as communicating with clients, and that follows ethical guidelines. So you create that process first and then find the outsourced solutions and the technology that can back you up in this process. And then third, and this is, something it's a little bit of a taboo subject, but don't take on those clients that don't fit with this process. And there's an easy way to sort of start to figure out which of those clients aren't the right clients for your business and aren't being as profitable as you think they are once you have this process set up for your for communicating with your clients. So the first couple of things that you can think about, and this is pretty simple stuff, but it's really good to go through this process, is setting up a communication policy. So if you don't already have one, think about how often do you check in with your clients and how are you checking in with them? What is your rule for doing that? And if you don't have one, create one. Are you going to check in once every week? Do you check in necessarily once every week, but then also if there's something happening with their case, and how are you doing that? Is it email? Is it a portal? I'll go into that a little bit more, but create this process of regular check-ins. And then what is your expected response time for if your client reaches out to you? Is it reasonable for you to say that you check your email in the morning and in the evening, or you have a 24-hour response time, or maybe it's 3 times a day or certain time days of the week, but you need to sort of set up this expectation for how long it's going to take you to respond to your clients. And then what platform should they use when it's urgent, and I'll go into that a little bit more. But basically, the solution is not open access to you all the time. I think I went over that already, but that's not reasonable, and it's not possible, and it's not, it's not what you should be doing as the expert, as the lawyer. And if you set up these right expectations, you're gonna get better educated clients. They're gonna have the expectation set, and they will be happy to know that they can communicate with you in the way that they've been expected to do so. And then using the technology and outsourcing solutions to control communication when you can, right? Getting this under control as much as you can. Obviously, there are going to be these extra cases. So the point is to get the process down, get everything working as it should, so that when these extra cases come up, it's not, as big of an issue time constraint wise on your time. So let's start with leads. We always need to be available for these leads, right? We need to be available on their platform. We need to be available right when they're looking to reach out, at the moment that they are ready to convert. So just have a process set up, right? So you could have an in-house receptionist, you could have a virtual receptionist, you could have you answer the call, all of your calls, or you're available, during the mornings, but then you have a member of your staff who's taking everything after hours, or in the evenings, or in the afternoons, or whatever. But make sure that there's that first step of being always available. And then answering and picking up the phone isn't always exactly what they want. What they want is questions to be able to be answered. They want to you set up these intake forms so that your in-house receptionist or your virtual receptionist can gather that initial information. Get set up with scheduling software so that whoever it is that's scheduling these appointments or consultations with your new leads can do it the moment they're on the phone, right? The second that your lead called. And then, thinking about these ideas like the website chat and social media so that you can capture your leads where they are there. Virtual receptionists, if you do take them on, can basically respond to your new leads with, if they've got frequently asked questions, they can respond intelligently to those, give actual valuable answers, right? Offer useful information to current clients based on the information that you've given to the receptionists. Schedule appointments depending on the caller type, right? Client check-in 15-minute could be different than a new lead consultation, could be different than a client hour-long meeting, and those different appointment types can be set up. And then the receptionist can schedule the right person into the right appointment. Asking the right qualification questions for new leads, right? Getting those leads turned into clients who are actually going to be able to convert. They are looking for the service you provide. They are able to pay your fees, asking those right qualification questions in the beginning. And then they can fill out those intake forms and reinforce your communication rules, right? If somebody says, I need to be transferred to the lawyer right now, if it's not within your standards for what's an urgent expectation, that's what virtual receptionists can do for you. Reinforce the communication when they're on the phone with this person. Here's a couple of resources. I'm going to share this slide deck in my email in the next 24 hours or less. And so you can just click on these. And these are just some real absolute playbooks for, for communicating, especially with new leads initially. All right, so we've brought on our new leads. We've got these people, we've got their expectations set. We've told them about our communication policy. And now we need to communicate regularly throughout the entire process of bringing them on and the case. And this is where you are going to want to bring in some technology options, right? So if you have a case management platform, a lot of them have portals. This is the place where 24/7 the clients can log in and get access to a certain amount of the information that they might need, right? So they're not calling and asking you a question. They could just log in and get that information and check on statuses and things like this. Case management portals are also encrypted, so you don't have to worry about security. They can upload documents there and pay invoices and look at their invoices. This handles a lot of that stuff that you might be interrupted with a phone call from your clients, but instead they have this platform where they could just access this information without interrupting you. The second resource that you have for regular communication, whether or not you have a case management platform, is email. And you can use email really effectively, especially if you set up an expectation for it to send status updates. I will always update you, after this amount of time, or when this thing happens with your case, or, to let you know if there's any changes. And you can set up templates for this. You can do this in a case management platform, but you can also do it in lots of different email platforms. I think you can set up templates in Gmail even if you want to. There are just so many options for this out there, but just creating these templates of here's an update. It has the entire email written out for you. And all you have to do is maybe take a certain sentence and swap it out for the information that's specific for them. A lot of email platforms also can do cool things where they will automatically insert the first name of the person into the email. So you don't necessarily have to copy and paste or worry about you're sending an email to Steve, but it says John. And so, this is these platforms can be used to really make your life easy when creating those status updates. They can also do automated reminders. So, hey, you need to check in with this person. It's been a week or whatever. And then time delivery. So if you have an update that you want to make, but it's, you're working on a Saturday or something, and you don't want to send this out to this person on Saturday necessarily, you want to set this expectation right, you can set it up to go out on Monday instead. there are obviously some situations in which you should actually make the call. And so one of the cool things about setting up this process for client communications is that it opens up your schedule to make the call when it's important, right? So this initial consultation, obviously that's a call that you definitely want to make. Scheduled client update meetings, obviously a call that you're definitely going to make, but also important updates, something that's really huge in the case. That's likely the kind of thing that you are going to want to actually pick up the phone and call your client to talk to them about it, to make sure that they know the importance of it, know what happened, and also bad news, right? If something gets delayed, if something is, just not quite, it's not going the way that you had expected it to, that's the kind of thing that your client expects you to pick up the phone and call them. So like, hopefully, having all of these other processes set up allows for you to have the time to make these personal calls when they're necessary and when they're expected from your clients. And then lastly is just text messaging. Text messaging is something that's kind of cool in that it's less laborious than a phone call, but it can provide more immediate responses. This is something that, I've done other presentations sort of all about text messaging, so I'm not going to go super deep into it here, but you can set up text answering software where the expectation for response time isn't quite as immediate, but you can also get that sort of one-on-one close communication with your client. The text answering software, you can get a standalone software, but a lot of them, you can do this in your VoIP. If you have one, I think there's a lot of text messaging capabilities in your case management platforms and things like that. So take a look around and see if this is a process that you want to set up as well. And then a text answering service like Smith.ai can answer text messages. This is more often suggested for new leads than current clients, just because a current client who's texting is likely going to want to talk to you. But you can set up some certain standards, like you can book an appointment with me via text, just text here. You can, we'll do some intake for these new leads. Just text us here or something like that. So take a look at that for an option. Okay, lastly, or second to last, I think, being available for last minute or urgent requests and communications. It is a ideal world where our clients are, we're only communicating with them on our terms, right? There's going to be people who want to know things or who have something that they need to let you know very urgently. And so you need to set up a process for first of all, what are the standards for urgency? What is an urgent call or request or an emergency according to your communication policy? And then what is the response time for that urgency? Is this the kind of thing where you tell your virtual receptionist service, listen, if somebody fits these levels of urgency, transfer the call directly to me, or you set it as urgent so that I can get back to them. I will get back to you within an hour for urgent requests or urgent calls. This is the kind of thing you can use that text answering software for as well. Don't call me if it's urgent, text me, because that's gonna be more available to me. Yeah, like I said, the virtual receptionist instructions, you can also maybe set up a meeting type in your scheduling software for urgent, requests, which is, it only gives the meeting 10 minutes, but you can schedule it very, very soon. The virtual receptionist can schedule it for you very, very soon. So these are the kinds of things that you can set up to make sure that you are responding urgently, but not letting clients take advantage of your time. And then also make sure to include what platforms not to use in urgent situations. I mean, I can tell you personally, if you need me urgently, do not email me. My inbox is too big. I handle it like a lot of times I'm going through it, but it's not the kind of way that if somebody really needed to get a hold of me, I would want them to reach out to me, right? Website chat could be the same way. That's the kind of thing that maybe isn't the best way to get in touch with your firm. And also I added personal text here too, because that might be the kind of thing where people think, I've texted you, so I should be able to get in touch with you very quickly via text, but it's just not right with your process internally. So make sure you establish that in your policy. And then the last thing to do is to track these communications over time and take note of trends. I pulled this from a law firm that I worked on marketing with years ago who said that they actually fired a client of theirs, despite the fact that they thought they were making a lot of money on this person, because they were contacting the firm so often that it was, it was just not profitable for them in the long run. And so what they ended up doing was just, making a recommendation for a different firm to take on this case that could handle it better. But this is the kind of thing that you should be paying attention to, and you should be paying attention to it over time so that you can really identify those non-ideal clients for your business, right? You can use time tracking software. I did a webinar recently with a company called Logro where you can track this software, plug it into all of your systems. So it basically tracks everywhere, that time is being spent on certain things. You can keep a log of your virtual receptionist or web chat communications. Stay within the scheduled time for your meetings so that you can, properly track that. And then keep in the back of your mind that it takes 23 minutes to get back to your train of thought after being distracted. So as you're looking at all this data, look for trends, what types of clients, as you've brought them on, are actually not ideal clients for your business, because the amount of time that you're spending being interrupted by them or having them not follow your policies actually cause you to be, overly busy and have less of that time for billable work. Just lastly, 67% of customers say their standards for good experiences are higher than ever. Now, this is not a legal specific study, but this is, these are the same people who are hiring lawyers. And so their expectations continue to go up. This is a 2019 study, and I would say that, they probably are even higher now. So these are the kinds of things that you have to keep in mind and create policies to address, really. But I truly think that if you set up a policy and you set these client expectations at the very beginning of your relationship, that's like the key way to have these happier clients, more converted leads, and then more of your time, which, I say in this slide, you can spend on billable work, but you could also maybe go on vacation a couple more times, next year or something like that. So just keep this in mind, and keep in mind, what your customers are really expecting. Really quickly, Smith.ai is having a Black Friday sale through the end of the month, which is not very much longer, but 50% off your first 2 months with code SMITH50 off 2 months. It's an unlimited discount. So if you get a small plan, if you get a huge plan, it doesn't matter. If you already have a virtual receptionist account and you want to get signed up for web chat, the discount applies to that. Vice versa, if you already have web chat and you want to start with virtual receptionists. And then it applies to all of our base plans, but also add-ons, including scheduling and intake and everything like that. You can get started at Smith.ai/pricing. And I'm also going to send all of this information out in my email as well. So don't worry about, screenshotting or copying this down unless you already have. And now I'm going to go over questions for myself or for Cara as they're coming in. It looks like we have a couple of questions already on the chat. Jamie says, I think she said, or he said this earlier, these are amazing resources. Thank you. I'm not even an attorney. I'm a graphic designer, but can use these globally. MailChimp recently announced it will censor email messages and content. That's interesting. That might be something that we want to do another webinar about once that happens. And then they said, what CRM platform do you recommend? Do you have a recommendation on a CRM platform, Cara, that works well with content?
Our subscribers use so many different CRMs. Certainly Infusionsoft is a popular one. It can also kind of be over-engineered though, meaning, so many of our subscribers want to keep things simple. So, sometimes, when kind of shopping for a CRM, really consider the features, the functionality that you absolutely need, and try, to find a platform that will kind of fit within that. So, there are some really high level CRMs that most law firms, would only use such a small kind of portion or fraction of the features. We work with a lot of CRMs. I don't have one in particular, really. It's really kind of what's best for you, what integrates with, the other platforms, the other software that you're using. That might be the most important, consideration is what case management or what practice management system are you using? Does the CRM that you're looking at, does it seamlessly integrate with that? You don't want to have, two systems or three systems that don't talk to each other, right? That could be a nightmare. And you want to be able to connect, kind of all of your marketing sources. So,
yeah. We've got a question from Mark. What is a CRM? That's a client relationship management. So it's a place where it's mostly a place where you hold all of the information about your leads before you take them on as clients. So whether this is, how often they've contacted you, their contact information, whether this is somebody who is just a standalone person, or if it's a business, what business they might be associated with, what their home phone number is, and work phone number is, maybe every single communication you've had with them. I think that's the main purpose of a CRM, right? So if you have multiple people in your firm, or you have multiple leads coming in, you can't remember everything all the time, you can go into this leads profile and learn, get a quick reminder, like, okay, that's what this person looks like. If you've got a picture for them, that's what their email address is. I chatted with them 2 weeks ago. We talked about this. They sent me an email a week ago. I sent them these drip emails. So this is where they are in their process with our business. And so that you can have this conversation with this person as though you completely sort of remember all of this information already. And it really makes the client relationship a lot better. I would say for CRMs, we work with a ton of CRMs at Smith.ai. The most important thing for me generally, I like a CRM that's got a Zapier integration in case you want to set up some pretty intelligent connections between your platforms. Also, the CRM has an intake form that you can create and then put it at a certain link. That works really well with Smith.ai because you can send that link to our receptionists and you can create this form to ask, whatever it is. We've got a reasonable use policy, so you can't, do 8 pages of it or whatever, but you can basically set this up to say, collect the name, collect the email address, collect the case number, collect, like all of those specific things that Kara was saying, which are qualifying factors for your business itself. You can write that into this form and then just put it on your website, send it in an email, give it to your virtual receptionist, and use it with that. One thing I would mention too is that there are a lot of CRMs that are good for lawyers, but there are a lot of CRMs out there that aren't specifically targeted towards lawyers. And if you are looking for really not a lot of features and functionality and maybe a simpler platform, take a look around those as well. Okay, we've got another question. What is the best way to create funnels for other subject areas besides the ones that you offer? I think this is for you.
Yeah, sure. So ClickFunnels is an excellent tool, right? So super easy to use. We use it actually to create funnels for our subscribers. Makes it really easy to kind of create a multi-step sales funnel, meaning, you start at the top of the funnel offering a lead magnet, offering a piece of educational, advice or material. And then you're kind of steadily, automatically filtering those prospective clients through the funnel using ClickFunnels for, landing pages, forms, certainly for follow-ups as well. So ClickFunnels is definitely my recommendation there.
Okay, and then also, what about the new sales flywheel I just started hearing about?
Oh, so yeah, so I think that the flywheel is sort of like the new funnel. I think it's, kind of this idea that you sort of use the momentum of your satisfied clients or the momentum of your happy clients to kind of drive referrals or create this kind of cyclical, driving repeat business. It's all about kind of aligning your success with your clients. It certainly helps to bring a little bit more kind of predictability to your lead flow and to your kind of new client flow. I would kind of call it a glorified funnel. So it's just kind of taking more of a 360 approach, right? So, as your prospects come through, all the way through, obviously, when you're servicing them and then keeping in touch with them as past clients, it's, how do you kind of maximize how fast you want that wheel to spin? How large do you want that wheel to be so that you can kind of predictably generate appointments and generate new clients. So it's a little bit of, I guess, marketing jargon.
Marketers love those flywheels.
Yeah.
All right. So Leonard also asked, I'm a client of both Smith.ai and James Marketing Amplifier. Are your companies working to seamlessly coordinate with each other? I would say this is something that we're sort of in the beginning of, having a conversation about. There are a lot of different processes depending on the law firm's business. And so what both James Marketing Amplifier and what Smith.ai onboarding can do for you is work within your current process. So if you do, say, have new leads coming in and you're nurturing them within James Marketing Amplifier, but then there's a certain point at which you want your Smith.ai virtual receptionist to actually make an outbound call to check in with them. That's a process that you can set up within the Marketing Amplifier to just shoot an email to Smith.ai and say, can you reach out to this person and say this, or, and check in about this. There's a couple of other really cool things that you can do with a email to text message gateway. Definitely industry jargon, but basically it's, you can set up a process within Smith.ai where if you send an email from a certain email address, we'll convert it into a text message for you. And you can just reach out to your clients, but then if they respond, as long as you have Smith.ai chat set up, they'll respond as though it's a text message, and then our agents can respond as well according to your instructions. So there's a lot of cool stuff. And I think there's probably 8 more ways that you can connect these two platforms. And it just sort of depends on the way that you want to set up your process and have either the receptionists or, a text message connecting with your leads when you feel that's appropriate throughout the process. If the person is ready to convert, maybe having your virtual receptionist be available at that very moment. That's something that I would be happy to write up some documentation about, explaining a couple of these use cases. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have, hey, I had thought that I could maybe, with my group of leads, do this with Smith.ai, and I'm happy to come up with some solutions for you. Also, if you just want to reach out to if you're already a Smith.ai, if you already use Smith.ai, reach out to your account manager or to our support, and we can come up with some solutions for you there as well. Okay, well, it looks like we've gone a little bit over on our hour, and we do not have any other questions in the chat or in the Q&A. So I'm going to say thank you all very much for joining us. I think that the information that Kara provided is incredibly useful and interesting, and there are tons and tons of resources here. So I will send out a link to our slide deck. Do you have a link to your slide deck as well, Kara? Yeah. I'll send those out in an email within the next 24 hours, as well as a video recording, which will just be on YouTube, and the information about our Black Friday deal and everything like that. So thank you all very much for coming, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving week.
Thanks, Kelsey. Thanks, everyone.